Well, hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the man cave. This is the radio rates and CG setup for the HSD JETS F-9 Cougar. All right, now, first thing I always like to start off with is CG. Now, the manual for the CG says that it is 73 to 78 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing. So that puts it, start there, right about there. Okay, that's 73 to 78. You go to the underside, there's no mark, but if you look at that fill mark right there, run your basically about ½ inch in, and that's where that is. So, see this line here? Just go straight out, and then put your finger in. Just straight out and then in just a touch. So if you put your finger where that line would be, feel for that line, okay? Okay, it's going to be right about there. Okay, now, however, and that's pretty darn good right there. However, do not put the battery, it's CG's there, but do not put the battery where they tell you to. Where they tell you to put the battery, and I've got a 5,000 Turnigy in there right now, okay? This is my setup, an AS3X, AR361 antenna going forward. They want you to put the battery all the way back, even with that, even a 3300. If you do that on the CG, she is grossly tail heavy. I mean grossly tail heavy. Here, where I moved the strap to the forward part, and I've got the front of the battery kind of hanging off into that well where the wheel would come up for the retrack, okay? Plenty of cooling in here, by the way. So basically hanging off the front of the wood tray about 1.5 inches is where I've got that 5,000, okay? I think the CG, the way they have the CG is for, with the inclusion of a rudder servo and a front gear, and everything would be a lot heavier. And I think that's the manual setup for that, because you can't add all that. But with that battery where I just showed you, on their factory CG, he's pretty darn good. Now I'm a little disappointed that just because you have a yellow wire hanging off the ESC does not mean it has thrust reverse. If it's been disabled by the factory, I found the manual for the Hobby King 100 amp ESC, and it does not give you the option to turn on reverse thrust. And I went to I'll include the PDF for the instructions of the quick setup guide for this, which does give you all the rates and CG and everything. I found it finally. I'll include it with a video. It does not say anywhere there about having a reverse thrust function. So it doesn't say anything about reverse thrust. I could not get that. Oh, by the way, the ESC was calibrated perfectly, but I went ahead and calibrated anyways just to see if that enabled it. No, it does not. So the reverse function does not work. And if I'm wrong, I'm hoping HSD JETS, when they see this video, because they said they're going to watch it, will reach out to me and say, okay, here's how you do that. And that would be great, but can't find anything. So as of right now, no reverse function, okay? So it's a simple 4-channel setup. Now, let's talk about, we talked about a CG, we talked about the placement of the battery, and we talked about the reverse function does not work. It doesn't say anything about it. There's nothing in the advertisement. There's nothing that says it has reverse. So I'm going to say it doesn't have it, even though it's got that yellow wire. Now, talk about rates now. We talked about CG. Let's talk about rates. The instructions give you the exact same rate for aileron and elevator with a plus or minus of 18 millimeters, okay? By the way, this little gauge right here, I want to say, like, I'll put a link to my print. This thing's awesome. I bought this off Amazon. I tell you what, the other chicken wire thing I've got, I throw that away. This thing here is awesome. You have to kind of figure out how it works at first. But let me show you real quick. This just is a little side note. If you're going to be putting these models together and you want to put them together right, buy one of these little things. All you do, okay, everything's on the same. I'm going to bring you in here, okay. All you do is clamp that on there like that. Okay. Move this tiller arm until, see the little pointer there goes to 0. Okay. Is that 0? Now it's at 0. Now watch inside that gauge. When I go up elevator, okay, look at that. I was in high rates. I mean, I had safe on. Look at that. Goes to 18. Okay. When I go to low rates or to down elevator, it goes to 18. Well, according to the manual, which I got on the other computer over there, the elevator is supposed to be 18 or negative, plus or minus. Okay. So you're thinking, well, that's fine. And the ailerons work the same way, and this works the same way on the ailerons. Now, let me show you what that equates to on your Spectrum transmitter when you go to rates and stuff. Okay. All right. Now, this is my switch I like for, I go up towards me the highest point for high rates. That equates to 85%, but that's your highest rate. So that's what that looks like. Okay, that's 85. Okay, now I went ahead and put in mid rates for 75, and that's what that looks like. And then my low rates is 65. But they just give you the maximum amount of travel. They don't give you a suggested high rate and low rate. They just give you the suggested high rate. Okay, same thing for the aileron. Oh, actually, that was the aileron. But it's the same thing. Okay, there's the elevator. Okay, high rates are 85. Mid rates 75, low rate 65. All right, now we're going to switch back to elevator. Or aileron, sorry. Okay, my low rates, look at the aileron. It's also 18 millimeters up or down. Okay, this is low rate. This is low rate. This is 65 up or down on a Spectrum. Okay, mid 75, high 85. All right, and that is exactly, look at this. Go ahead and put that in there like that. I love this little gauge. I mean, I love this little guy. Okay, let me get you. Okay. Now, get it tilted on 0. Okay, now it's on 0, right? Now, remember we said 18% high elevator or aileron. And look at that. See, just below the 20 there. The glare you can't really see on the high. Look at that. That is so perfect. Oh, and just so you know, everything on the plane, and then the rudder, because what you would have to do in order to figure the rudder out. Okay, let me back up here. Okay, ooh, go for a ride here. Okay, so what you would have to do for the rudder would be put the model on a stand sideways and just put your gauge on it just like you did the elevator or the aileron. Okay, so that wouldn't be that big of a deal. All right, but the rates on the rudder are a little more. I want to say they're at 28. So you got 18, 18, and 28 either way. They give you the highest rate. So I just went ahead and locked it in as 100, and then I put 30% expo on the elevator and on the ailerons. And because I haven't yet gone there and figured out how to use a nose gyro, and I really don't want to separate the rudder from the front. There's a Y in there, and it was too buried, and I just didn't want to get to it. So all I've done was I've got 45 or 50 on the rudder. I got 100%, but I got 60% expo. That way it really desynthesizes that rudder, because I will tell you this, I took her out in the driveway and did the range test. She's without any expo on that rudder, very pitch sensitive, very sensitive. So dialing, when you got a control surface that's very sensitive and you don't want to change the travel, then dial in a bunch of expo. Okay, so I dialed in 60% expo, and that'll make it, if you look at how much that front gear nose is actually moving. So, and you're going down the down the runway trying to take off, you don't want that much movement. Okay, you want small corrections. So that's why I dialed a lot of expo in there. Okay. I did set up, I'm not going to show you how to forward program. I've got dozens of videos how to do forward programming, but I did put forward programming in it. I do have now, I know you can go with the AS3X Plus, which I did upgrade my receiver to AS3X Plus. You can go on there and set your gain limits and your priorities to where you want the gains to put the priority in, this, that, and the other. I just left that default, and what I like to do for me is the way I like my gains to work is I put my gains adjustment on a roller here, okay? And if I dial the roller all the way down, okay, let me make sure I'm in AS3X, then there's no movement for the, but if I dial it all the way up, now there's a whole lot of gyro correction. So that means, I'm sure there's a way of setting it, but I like using that roller that way. Like there, that is the middle. If I'm flying along and it's a really windy day, I might dial them gains up a little bit to help counteract that wind. If there's no wind at all, okay, and I'm flying along and I got them gains too high, she may start oscillating on me. So I'll dial them gains down. This is why I don't like going in there and setting all priorities and gain settings and everything. I like to just put on a roller and make it adjustable in flight. Okay, this is actually a very simple plane. It does not have reverse thrust. Simple connects for the wings. However, remember, you do have to unplug the old-fashioned way of the cable. It doesn't have quick connect cables. You have to unplug your servo. So this model is pretty small, so I wouldn't worry. I'm not going to be taking the wing off of it. It bolts together. The only glue is to glue these things on. I do not like the way see how that's nice and even? Well, this is kind of raised here, just a touch. It's just a small defect in the foam. It's not going to really affect the flight any. Another thing I don't like, there's no protection around these inlets. However, and that's just from looking at it, everything is perfectly centered and trimmed. Okay, when I put this in, look at those servo. Look at the line of the edge of the wings and everything. Everything is nice and flush, okay, and even with each other. So everything is bench trim, okay, that I like. Big honking plastic nose cone. That way I can set it on its nose. All this is plastic here. This is all plastic. There are lots of plastic throughout. All these sections here, this is all hard plastic, okay? So, this is just decoration. I mean, I know it's a fueling tube. I'm not going to fly it because if I have it, that's the first thing that's going to break off. So I may just put it on there and put it off. I mean, it's just pressure fits in there. So anyways, but one thing about the cooling, this has some of the best cooling I've ever seen, okay, for this. Number one, when you look up in here, okay, you got that big hole. See my finger coming through there? That big hole there, there's a hole down further down. See my finger wiggling down there? Okay. Then you got your inlets there, okay? Then you got that big honking cheater there, okay? And all that goes in there and goes over that ESC into that fan, keeping you got good positive flow there, keeping your battery, your ESC, and everything nice and cool, which that equates to long life. Now, listen, you're just going to get loud in here, okay? Listen to this motor at first. Has a whine, okay? But when it gets higher up, it sounds more deeper and throaty. But that whine indicates to me, because I can't really touch the fan, that indicates to me that you got really strong magnets. You got a very strong motor, and because they're really being attracted. And I want to say it's a 12-bladed fan, but all the specs to the plane, the link to the PDF on the quick setup guide, everything will be in the description of this video. A purchase link, I'm not an affiliate, they just sent me this plane for free. The purchase link will be here, that way you can find it. I got it from HSD JETS, the USA, the Texas warehouse, and I'm very pleased. The only thing I'm going to do is give her a clear coat, because that's going to protect this foam, but it already is nice and shiny, so I don't know, I may not. It looks really good. If I do a clear coat, I'm going to use a flat. I'm not going to use a gloss. I'm going to give it a flat. Decals are already applied. We've gone over rates. We've gone over CG. We've gone over the radio setup. You know, pretty basic plane as far as, because you don't have retracts, you don't have flaps. And, you know, I'm going to have 85, 75, and 65 are my rates on aileron and elevator with 30% expo all the way around. My rudder is 100%, 30% expo all the time, or no, 60% expo, because, ooh, dang, see, I'm a bull in a china shop. Which I'm surprised I don't break more stuff, you know, but I talk with my hands. If you were to tie my hands, I can't talk now, but yeah. It's a good looking model. I can't wait to fly it. We're going to do that hopefully today, because it's the middle of the night. It's like 2 a.m. right now. And on the 4th or the 5th of October. I'm not sure. And there we go. I can't think of anything else to cover. There are no retracts. There are no flaps. Good looking plane. HSD JETS USA in Texas. Thank you so much for the plane, for sending it out to me. I did not expect it. All of a sudden you said I got 2 planes. I paid for one and you sent me this. So the JL10 is in the box. Probably going to do that tomorrow night and do its, I don't know, we'll see. Depends how much time I got. But all right, there you go, folks. Thank you so much for watching. God bless y'all. God is good. And that is the HSD JETS F-9 Cougar. Can't wait to get her up in the air and see what kind of how she flies. She's going to have probably a long approach. And remember, with this kind of plane, it's a lifting body. The whole thing's a lifting body. But when you come in for approach, you're gonna land like that, okay? But that means I'm going to have a longer approach, because if I high alpha, yes, that slows it down, but I'm going to lose a lot of my control, okay? So you're going to come in like this, or I'm going to come with a little bit of speed, and I'm going to have to be touching down at the very front part of the runway in order to stop before I hit the grass at the other end, because I only have 210 feet. So, all right, God bless y'all. Bye-bye.